So the other morning, I woke up and after having thought about having seen this on Instagram, and I was thinking these patterns are really cool, but what if I tweaked it just a little bit? So I gave it a shot, and it did. Okay, so basically this didn't turn out how I was imagining it. In fact, you can barely even notice that there's something going on there unless you're, really experienced bracelet maker. You might not even notice those little curves that are off into the corners there. So I got this idea that, all right, let's try it again, but we'll use more strings and we'll make it, thin, and we'll do just whatever. So I dove in and I made this one. And there are 12 strands there. And after I was kind of in the process of making it, I realized that this would have made a really, really good tutorial. And why I felt like that was there were certain things even in the process of making this that seemed like, wow, people could benefit from that. So here we are today, and I'm going to show you how I made this by making one more. Okay, so this is me getting ready to make the other one. My wife is working the camera here. The sound quality was absolutely terrible. We had the window open and the fan on. It's like 32 degrees here, so it was just roasting hot in the room, so the sound quality was terrible. Basically what I needed was 3 colors and an additional 9 more of one color. So that's how I picked it out. Each of these is 2/3 of a skein, so it's longer than 2 meters. I'm not sure exact length, but it's 1/3 of a skein. So if you take a skein and you cut it into 3 equal pieces, that's the length that these are, and that's pretty much exactly what you need if you're going to try to copy this just the same as I made it, because I'm really down to very short ends by the time I get to the end of this. So, but this part here, this was the thing. I had a creative idea and I'm ready to go for it. I just, all excited and enthusiastic. And both of the bracelets I made, I did the same thing here. I basically got my cut up string that's on these little bobbins, put all the ends together, and you can see, boom, I'm getting my string together ready to do my kumi braid that'll be for my loop. Because for me, if I had to actually go and get the string out and cut it and worry about getting it untangled if the skein was tangled up or something, that takes away from my enthusiasm to go and make a thing, right? So if I'm like all excited about a pattern or whatever, boom, look at this. I'm done. I'm ready to go kumi. So that was real time. That's what really happened. And I thought that was actually worth sharing. So now we are on to making the bracelet. Okay, so I am going to basically trade one color from the right hand side with one color from the left hand side. So in this case, I shifted the red off to the left and the orange off to the right. This will leave the yellow for both sides. So basically the only colors in this whole thing is a red, a yellow, and an orange. So I wanted it to be kind of a bright, happy, sunshiny kind of thing, to make for a nice contrast against this sort of a beige color. So, and to give it the big zigzag effect, I basically am going to work the beige down, to kind of shift where the orange is going to come in at. I leave one at the very end though. So basically there'll be 9 on either side. This is 8 of the beige, then the orange, then the yellow, then the orange, and then one beige. And that's so that way I get that one little stripe in between it, and that helps, I think, give it that illusion of kind of a Celtic thing, I guess, kind of an over-under pathway thing. I was really big on this in high school, so I don't know, I kind of find myself kind of drawn to it even now. So it's, yeah, basically I could have like gone down the middle, like that inspiration ones I showed you from the Rainbow Haze shop, but why I didn't was after the first attempt and seeing how it wasn't much of a curve going on or not taking shape, I really wanted to kind of exaggerate, and this is how I went about doing it. So I'm basically creating like a backwards for this part and bringing it over the top of all the other strands. So it starts out a little bit thick and gets thinner as there becomes fewer and fewer strings. And that's kind of where the shape comes from, is from doing that same kind of thing. So, and then I'll show you as we make the other curve how that kind of works out. So, there are going to be points here I'm going to have to speed this up because otherwise this is going to be a tremendously long video. So just a heads up on that one. But see, okay, so the orange is on, then the yellow, then I do the orange, and there's that one remaining like off-white. And in order to kind of make it sort of, okay, so here comes the other side, right? I just need one off-white one to start with. And I know that seems kind of weird because, you know, you're hardly going to see it. But again, this is about having that white one that goes down the middle. So I'm trying to share like everything that went into this. There's like so much. The next was the red, then the yellow, then the other red. And you have to kind of be careful because of the trading the side things. That's something you have to try to make sure that you keep the beginning nice and tight, close to each other, so that way that doesn't turn into like a really big gap or something. It's a real potential hazard when you trade from one side to the other. So okay, so the red, then the yellow, and then this other red. And then what's left of all those off-white ones, those won't get tied in or looped on there at all, right? So put this one on. Now this is like the regular figure 4 when it's on the left-hand side there. That's just a regular figure 4, just once over, not a big thing. Okay, so in order to kind of get a nice straight line off of this, I'm going to take that one strand there, and there's a clip sort of off screen, so like right there. So I have that clip down, and that helps to get a really nice straight start on the whole thing. And then I kind of play around with the clip on the other side later on, so I'm not sure that I actually show where that is. So, all right, kind of let me speed this part up a bit. Okay, so speeding this up is because this is basically like just doing a candy stripe. I'm bringing the off-white down, and I'll bring that all the way until where the orange is. I won't go over top of the orange because the orange is supposed to appear like it's going over top of everything else. And that's going to be true with the red, the yellow, and the other red. So boom, there it is. I end up tying the orange one there, just whatever. I don't do that on the other ones. I kind of realize like, no, I kind of like doing that all in one straight shot. So now it's just bringing these down to create that first stripe. And again, this is just using the figure 4 twice over basic candy stripe kind of stuff. So relatively simple. There's not a lot in here that gets a little bit more difficult. There is sort of in the corners, and I'll kind of explain that when we get to that part. But that's about trying to get it up to the edge, and I really tried to push it to where it was the most dramatic, as far off to the side as possible. Again, after the other one didn't make much effect, I wanted to make sure this one had it. So that was the thought process. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. And if you want to try doing it differently, by all means. I mean, this was just a thought experiment. I was kind of having fun with it, the notion, and this is what came of it. So, yeah, there is definitely room for some additional creativity in this. So, bringing this red down, and there's going to be a bunch of, like 8 of the white ones there, all in one great big group that are waiting to get joined in with everything else. So here you see I'm go ahead and I went to put the orange over the top. And I was kind of thinking that maybe that was kind of helpful to help keep its shape while I get ready to set up the other part, but it turns out that's really not necessary. Okay, so back to normal speed. What I'm going to do is I take and do a figure 4 over top of that big group of 8, and I bring it in and kind of have it as a group, and then go to the next string. And this will get thicker and thicker until it gets down into that corner. This actually made the bracelet go really, really quickly, because this portion really doesn't take all that long, I guess. So compared to a 12-string bracelet, yeah, this thing really, this whole thing overall was, I think, an hour and a half or so. Too long for a video, but not terribly long for a bracelet. So, so you can see we're getting, fewer and fewer strands, things getting thicker and thicker. The big trick will be it goes like a figure 4 and then a backwards 4 when you get to the corner. So I think I kind of slowed down to actually show that here. Hopefully I take it really nice and slow, because it's relatively, I guess, important. So here it is. Last strand, it goes to the figure 4. Pull that up through, nice and tight, and then goes the other direction. And that's what lines it up so nicely in the corner, so that way, when you bring those other rows down and stuff, it has something to join to, and it gives it a really nice looking corner in the edge there. So that was the trick. So then after that, it's all backwards 4s all the way to the very last one. So here it is at its thickest, and as we keep going on, the next one, it keeps getting a little bit thinner until there's, the last strand. I discovered that the best way of doing that is, you can see here I'm kind of pulling from the top, and that sort of was okay, but I found as I was getting further down here that if you take from the edge closest from where you're working to, it just makes it just a little bit cleaner. So kind of experiment around, I suppose, if you want to try it. But like, see where I took that one, it was from the furthest kind of right side, so that sort of works out pretty sweet. I just kind of want to give you as many pointers to this as possible, because obviously this is one of those things that, if you've never tried it before, if you have no idea what's going on, I don't want to just assume that you get it and it's whatever. Oh, okay, so I just shifted it up on the clip. That's another thing with this, was the shifting directions, kind of zigzagging with it. yeah, I was finding that kind of turning it in the clip and stuff was kind of really helpful to me. So people who enjoy tape might not enjoy this bracelet. Just another one of those pointers for you. So let's see. Okay, so here I am. I'm getting down to where it's finally at its thinnest. Relatively simple at this point. I mean, this is just, you know, basically the same as you would maybe start a bracelet. Now, again, I clipped it down on the other side. The clip is just off view. And this is just like doing a candy stripe going towards the left. Real simple. So I'm speeding this up. Yeah, there was the footage here. Really, it would have been super, super long. I'll slow it down though for you in certain bits. There are certain parts where I kind of have to, you know, really explain it if you're trying to follow along closely. Mind you, if you just want to do like a candy stripe going back and forth or something, it didn't have to be this complicated. This was just something I thought was sort of fun and whimsical. So the reason here why it's going to curve, kind of bounce back and leave the white, is again about having that middle stripe and kind of setting a distance between the two sets of colors, the oranges and the reds. So that happens right about here. So I have to unclip it, and then it's tying it to the left and then tying it to the right. So that way the off-white one there in the corner ends up staying off to the side. So I can clip it back down, and that'll help me again get that nice straight row. Mind you, it's not perfect, but it does help make it just a little bit nicer. So again, you don't have to do it that way. Just something I do. Pretty happy with that result. Okay, so now we are just blazing along with this yellow, and that's going to come down and actually cross over top of the orange and make that kind of bounce off of that off-white. Again, that off-white is to give it that separation between the two sets of colors, right? So, again, this is just a simple backwards knot. There's nothing like crazy going on here. So I know that I'm going to probably have to list this under the more advanced, just because it has zigzags and it's got a little bit more going on with it. But I don't think you have to be all that advanced of a bracelet maker in order to give this a try. Everything that you need for making it will be in this video. So, all right, so here it comes. Gets down here. Like I said, it will cross over top of the orange. And then it does the left then right knot to go into that corner. So let's see, what else can I tell you about this part? Yep, I have to unclip that. So here it is. It's a left and then a right. And now the other orange will come down. Now this one, where you need to be cautious, is this will come all the way down to the first orange, and then you have to have the yellow cross over top of it to keep that illusion of the continuous path. Other than that, again, it's just a simple straight row again. I suppose I didn't need to necessarily, well, I guess you kind of need this part because I need to show you what happens afterwards. I was going to say maybe this video didn't have to be nearly as long as it is, but I do need to show you how it creates the bowing part on the other side. So that'll be coming up. And I do have at the end of this the how to finish it off. That took a little bit of thinking. So, but if you're finding any of this helpful, if this is going to help you make something fun and new and different, please, like the video, leave some positive comments, that kind of stuff. It really goes and it helps. It's so encouraging. It's not easy. I have a pretty complicated life here. I'm taking care of 2 people with dementia. So adding this on top of it is a lot. So you guys, with your words of encouragement, have really done wonders for me, and it really keeps me coming back to making more of these things. So really appreciate that, everybody who gives me little shouts out. So thanks. Anyway, so here we are. It's a long row. I mean, this is seriously like time consuming, I guess, tedious. But that said, I mean, I produced this bracelet at, I don't know, an hour and a half, so that's not bad. I might be creative, but I'm not the fastest bracelet maker. I know there's a bunch of people out there that are, potentially faster than what I am. I just am creative is all. That's my claim to fame. So, all right, like I said, here it comes. It'll come down. It stops at the orange. The yellow comes over the top. And then do the orange in the corner, and it has to bounce off that corner, leaves the off-white out there. Let's see, what else? Seems like I had so many things to tell you about this thing, and now I'm suddenly like at a loss for words, which is clearly not like me. Oh, so yeah, okay, I kind of did the whole little bouncing there, like the getting it. The white row coming down, you need to go over top of that one, so the 2 whites go into the corner. There was a glitch in the video, that's why that you didn't see the white row going in, but yeah, so I brought a whole white row down. All the orange and the yellow go over top of it, and then the 2 whites get tied together in the very corner. Not sure what happened while I was trying to edit. I think I lost a piece of the video somehow, and I don't know. It was it was kind of hard, and besides, it's kind of hard to keep talking all the way through watching a row get made. So there we have, the oranges are done. Now comes down the reds. Now the reds, because I was trying to do this whole over-under thing, I brought the oranges up so that way now the reds can go over top of all of that. So again, the first red will hit to the corner and bounce in. Then the yellow will come in and do the same. And then the last red will do the same. And that leaves so that would be, it'll be like the off-whites will be on the very edge. There's no like extra whatever over there. So you'll see that here in just a moment. I think I actually have this set up to kind of go faster now. And then we can get on with the curvy bit that's on the right hand side. So, all right, so the red's going over top of the orange, over top of the yellow, over top of the other orange, and over top of the white. I guess it does leave the one white kind of bouncing off to the side there. Right, okay, so now comes the yellow. Just runs down the same way. So if you guys come up with ideas of some of the future videos you want to see, some bracelets maybe from the portfolio, leave me a comment on that, because half the time I have no idea what else to make. I am going to be working on my sister's bag here shortly. I'm still trying to work out which pattern to use, because I kind of want it to be a bit complicated. And I haven't really figured out one that uses 4 colors that would be like really amazing. But that's coming up here shortly, as well as I'm going to do something with the pink bracelet that I made some 10 years ago. It was just a silly time-lapse project, but I'm going to finally get around to actually making a tutorial for that. So a couple things to look forward to. Kind of excited about that. Oh, and I got a secret project that I'm really super stoked about, but I'm not giving anything away until I get it finished. Well, until my wife gets a part finished. So, anyways, there it is. Yellow bounces back. Now comes the last one, the red. There is no white row after this red. The red just comes down, does its little thing, and then I take the white ones and I create the bowing effect for that. I really don't have a good name for it. I mean, I guess it's kind of got like a boomerang look to it. I don't know. I have no idea what it should be called, or if somebody's already got a name for these kind of things. It's definitely given me some ideas of some alternate versions of this that I could do that could be fun. So maybe I'll do a video on that here shortly, just because, why not? It's kind of neat. So there it comes all the way down, getting past the last of the whites there, over the orange, yellow, orange, to the red. Oh, then the yellow has to actually go over top of that one. Yep, see, then that goes the other way. Then that red can bounce back. So now it's doing a figure 4 over top of the off-white. See, like this. I tried to slow it down to actually show you. It kind of threw me off. I kind of get into rhythms, and staying to a rhythm actually works so much easier for me. You can see it's just do 1 over the group, and then it becomes part of the group. Do 1 over the group, and it becomes 1. And it just gets fatter and fatter and fatter until it gets down to that last one. And this is relatively how it starts. It repeats. I'll bring, obviously, the orange down along the edge. Then there'll be that white row. Then the reds will come down. And then it's just basically the same way the other side had started. Except for, of course, the other side had 8 of them that didn't need to be wound in there. But this will be a full set. And it goes back and forth a couple times. Like I said, I use the 1/3 length of the whole skein, and by the time I get to the end of this, it's running really short. There's enough to make a nice braided tails, but that's about it. So if you're going to change up the pattern, just take that in mind. Mind you, the background ones have a huge abundance, so they didn't need to be nearly as long. Just happens to be that that's what they're cut in my box for. So I deal with that just for the convenience of being able to come up with an idea and be able to run with it. So that's just a personal thing there. All right, so here it's almost to the end where it's thinned out, and from there it's obviously you just do the rows again. All right, so now I think we can kind of jump ahead, and I'll show you how this whole thing finishes. Okay, so it goes to the left, to the right, to the left, And I've already started going to the right. Got the first set of the oranges going across. The red is basically going to go underneath it and end over there. So I'm going to speed this up because we're already looking at a half hour in, and I still haven't finished this thing. So the white row coming across, that's going to end just prior to the oranges. Same with the red, yellow, and the additional red. Again, I think I've given you kind of all of the tips. Like I said, the getting the bowing part in there, taking it from off to the side as opposed to the top seemed to have worked out a whole lot nicer. Trying to think. I mean, I really think I've kind of covered it all. This part here is, again, in my mind, this is simple. If you're just beginning, I completely will understand if you're like, nope, not simple. But trust me, it'll get easier in time. This isn't something that, I just picked this up yesterday kind of thing. So, so the red will come across, the yellow, then the other red. The key thing here is I'm not going to bring the white all the way down this time. It only comes 8 bits down, so it basically is going to balance off just like how it started. The 9th one comes next to the orange, so that's its little secret there. But you'll be able to see that here shortly. So if you have any questions about this whole build, how I did it, and anything, leave me a question. I've tried to cover everything I could think of, but I suspect maybe there are bits that you might have missed or whatever. I will include how, if you're interested in the Kumi, how I set that up, I will include that over on the website. So I have a picture of that. And there isn't a whole lot I could do with it because it is 12 colors of the off-white and 3 strands of other colors. So it's really, I don't think there is a whole lot to the pattern itself, but I'll include the picture just so that way, in case you're trying to make it exactly the same. I know some people like doing that. I have no idea why. Personally, I always try to make everything different. All right, so here I am tapering it in. It's just 1 goes over 1, then 1 goes over 2. I find going this side is a little bit more difficult for me. It just takes me a little bit longer. I'm not sure why that is, but it does. So once this part goes all the way to the very end, and then I start to make it go, where the strands are coming back to be knotted too. Like I said, it leaves no, it doesn't leave 8. It does 8. There's 8 strands to be knotted too, so that leaves whatever's left over there. I believe that's like kind of lost track of what count that would be. 7. It might actually be 8 as well, because the 9th one comes in on the side. So yeah, it kind of divides it in half. But yeah, so there's 1. This is the second one. I didn't really count the group that's off to the left-hand side here. I just counted these ones because I wanted it to match the top one. That's how I basically did the judgment. Here I've made 2 of these, and it's never really occurred to me to actually count the other side. But yeah, so yeah, when you're just trying to make up stuff and you're coming up with ideas and get excited, kind of overlook some of the smaller details, but they were basically becoming irrelevant because if you're making it so symmetrical, of course it's just going to turn out right. So, all right, now the oranges are going to come down, and you'll notice from at the start, if you looked back at how it began, it started with the reds coming across to the right, and now we're going to end with the oranges going off to the left, and which is really good because if I was going to try to finish this on the red, I would have run out of string. So this thing balances itself out perfectly, which is super helpful considering that it wouldn't be the kind of project where you would really want to have to try to add strings to it. So again, the color ones, you kind of want it to be longer. I think the whites that are running down the middle get used more, but they cross over enough of the other whites that if you really needed to, you could swap, you could make it like, you know, do a left-right or a right-left. So that way you could use one of the other strands that was still longer. So not something you have to worry about with them, but you definitely have to worry about the color ones because they run the entire length of the whole bracelet. So okay, here the orange is coming down, and like I said, the last white one will go off to the left grouping and get braided up with them. And then the neat little thing happens, I'll show you here, it's going to happen it's going to happen after the white row. The finishing bit allows the red, yellow, red to almost appear like it goes off the whole thing because there's that one last white strand there, and as it goes over that, it's almost like giving it a whole extra knot and lets it kind of look like it runs off of the rest of the page. So I thought that was a nice touch. Definitely something I would try to aim for again in the future. Not that I necessarily plan on making a whole bunch of these. It was fun. I thought it would be something different to try, and of course, now that I've done it, I want to run off and do something else. So see, here's where the red goes over top of the white, and then the yellow goes over top of the red and white, and the red goes over that. And it kind of, if you look there in that corner, it just looks pretty neat, I think. So, and then these ones run down and it gets braided up. Just that simple. And then there he comes. That is it. So there you have it. Kind of a zigzaggy effect with a bit of a Celtic thing going there. Something new, something different. Again, this is just some weird idea I woke up in the morning just obsessed with and had to run and go and do it. So I don't know. Which color pattern do you like better? Did you like my original with this the red, green, and blue? Or do you like this one where it's bright, happy, sunshiny with the off-white? Let me know in the comments. It'll be fun. And hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial and got something out of it. And, you know, I don't know. If you make it yourself, tag me on Instagram. My thing there is the same, aka AWOL. And I look forward to seeing your guys' work. All right, so until next time, don't get your strings in a bunch.